Good morning. Today we're going to learn about applying the quadratic formula. Your essential question is, how do I apply the quadratic formula? Your learning intention. I'm learning I can solve quadratics when using the quadratic formula. So for your warm-up, you're going to solve the following quadratics by factoring. Remember, it has to be set up equal to 0 first. So pause the video and see if you can do those first two problems on your own. Well, I hope you tried. I hope you paused the video and tried at least work through as far as you can go. So as we're looking at this, is it set up equal to 0? No, I have to add 8 to both sides. So now it becomes x squared plus 6x plus 8 equals 0. So you're looking for factors of 8 that add up to 6. If I do the diamond method to keep myself organized, when I multiply them, I get 8. When I add them, I get 6. Everything has to be positive. One times 8 is 8. 1 plus 8 is not 6. 2 times 4 is 8. 2 plus 4 is 6. 2 times 4 is 8. 2 plus 4 is 6. This becomes x plus 2 multiplied with x plus 6. Okay, so looking at this, we know that x plus 2 has got to be equal to 0, or x plus 6 is equal to 0. We know that one of those two factors, or both, have to be 0, because when we multiply and we get 0 as an answer, you have to be multiplying with a factor of 0. So what is the opposite of positive 2? Negative 2. What is the opposite of positive 6? Negative 6. So our zeros are negative 2, negative 6. Do you remember what that means? Our quadratic is that parabola shape. It will go down through negative 6 and come back up through negative 2. Those are where the graph crosses the x-axis, where y is equal to 0. Okay, for the next one, we're going to factor by grouping. You group the first two together, and then you group the last two together to factor. Okay, x to the third and x squared, I can factor out x squared. And that leaves me with x minus 6. I've got negative 4x, positive 24. I can factor out a negative 4. And that leaves me with x minus 6. Are my parentheses the same? Yes. So x minus 6 is 1, and then you put the other two back together. X squared minus 4 is the other. Am I done factoring? No. Perfect square, subtracting in the middle, your difference of squares. So this is x minus 6, and then this breaks down to x plus 2 times x minus 2 equals 0. Okay, the square root of x squared is x. The square root of 4 is 2. You add once and you subtract the other. In this case, how many zeros do we have? We have 3, and that was to be expected when you've got to the third power. That's that cubic that creates an elongated S. So as I'm looking at this, I could easily set these up equal to 0, or I can use my brain. X is equal to, what is the opposite of negative 6? 6. Or, what's the opposite of positive 2? Negative 2. Or, what's the opposite of negative 2? Positive 2. So it would come down through negative 2, go back up through 2, and then it would come up through negative 2, go down through 2, come back up through 6. So now, that's solving by factoring. If you don't have factors that work, then you can use the quadratic formula. If you cannot think of the factors you need, you can use the quadratic formula. So let's take a minute and look what that means. Okay, this is the standard form of your quadratic, ax squared plus bx plus c. The quadratic formula is the opposite of b plus or minus b squared minus 4ac all over 2a. Your discriminant is b squared minus 4ac. Now, when you get ready to use that quadratic formula, you need to identify a, b, and c. Next, find that discriminant. That discriminant will tell you if you even have an answer. So if it's less than 0, there's no real solution. If it's equal to 0, there's one real solution. If it is greater than 0, 2 real solutions. Why does that work? Because we're taking the square root. This is my discriminant under my square root symbol. So can I take the square root of a negative number? At this point, no. But we will show you that further on in math. So you don't know how to take the square root of a negative number, so you cannot find a real solution. So you find the discriminant, determine your number of solutions, you take the square root of the determinant, and then you find the zeros by using the rest of the quadratic formula. So let's go ahead and apply. As I'm looking at the first problem, this is A, this is B, you keep the sign with it, and then your C is at the end. So A equals 2, B equals negative 11, and C equals positive 15. Let's find our discriminant. Here's my discriminant. Okay, so it's going to be negative 11 squared minus 4 times 2 times 15. Okay, I'm going to put it into my calculator. Parenthesis, negative 11, parenthesis squared, minus 4 times 2 times 15. I end up with 1. So my discriminant is 1. The square root of 1 is 1. Okay, now let's apply the rest of that formula. We have found this part of it. What does the plus or minus symbol mean? One time you add, the second time you subtract. So let's put it all together. The opposite of B, the opposite of negative 11 is 11. First time we will add the 1. We will divide it by 2 times 2, 2a. Okay, 11 plus 1 is 12. 12 divided by 4. 12 divided by 4 is 3. One of our zeros is 3. Let's do the second half where we subtract. This is exactly the same except we replace the plus with a minus. 11 minus 1 over 2 times 2. 11 minus 1 is 10 divided by 4. I can simplify that fraction. Both are divisible by 2. 10 divided by 2 is 5. 4 divided by 2 is 2. Those are my two zeros. Those are the two places where it will cross the x-axis. Your graph, that quadratic graph, will cross the x-axis. If you're still not completely sure on how to set things up, watch this video again. Okay, for the next one, 5n squared plus 14n plus 9, a, b, and c. See if you can write a, b, and c down on your own. Okay, a is in front of the n squared, is 5. B is in front of the n, that's 14. C is 9. So your discriminant is b squared, 14 squared minus 4 times 5 times 9. (14 squared minus 4 times 5 times 9). That gives you 16. The square root of 16 is 4. Now we're going to apply the rest of that formula. The opposite of b. B is 14. The opposite of b is negative 14. First time we add. Plus 4 over 2a. 2 times 5. Negative 14 plus 4 is negative 10. 2 times 5 is 10. Negative 10 divided by 10 is negative 1. The second time you subtract. Negative 14 minus 4 over 2 times 5. Negative 14 minus 4 more is negative 18 over 10. Can I simplify? Yes. Both are divisible by 2. 18 divided by 2 is 9, so it's negative 9 over 10 divided by 2 is 5. So those are the two areas where that quadratic crosses the x-axis, where y is equal to 0. Okay, for the next one, pause the video and see if you can go down through the discriminant. Can you identify a, b, and c? Can you find b squared minus 4ac? Pause the video and see if you're starting to learn. Okay, let's try it. A is 2, B is negative 19, and C is 9. B squared, negative 19 squared minus 4 times 2 times 9. Okay, I know that when I square a negative number, it's going to become positive. So if I don't want to go to the work of putting parentheses and the negative sign in, I can simply say 19 squared minus 4 times 2 times 9. And I get 289. That's definitely bigger than 0, so I know I've got two real answers. So the square root of 289 is 17. Okay, the opposite of B plus 17 divided by 2 times A. Can you write that down? What is the opposite of B plus 17 all over 2A? The opposite of negative 19 is positive 19 plus 17 over 2 times 2. (19 plus 17), that'll be 20 plus 16, that would give me 36. 2 times 2 is 4. 36 divided by 4 is 9. Okay, the second time we subtract the same thing, but now we divide to subtract. 19 minus 17 over 2 times 2. 19 minus 17 is 2 divided by 4, and that gives me 1/2 because 2 is 1/2 of 4. Okay, if you didn't pause on the last one, please pause on this one. Identify A, B, and C. A is 2, B is 3, C is 5. Find your discriminant. 3 squared minus 4 times 2 times 5. Oh, I got a negative number. Okay, how can I square root the negative number? You can't at this point because it is not a real answer. So, this does not have a 0. It doesn't have a real number for the 0. So if your discriminant is negative, you're done. You can't go any further at this point. So how do you know you're successful? I know I'm successful when I can solve quadratics using the quadratic formula. This is all about the quadratic formula. If you're still struggling, watch the video a second time, and then if it's still not clicking, let's sit and talk about it.